Hi, my name is Desire Derek from Mugumisa and welcome to yet another video on Mugumisa Talks Chelsea on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for all the support that you've given me so far. We're still on that journey to 1,000 subscribers. So hey, share these videos and many more as we try to get there. In today's video, we're talking about Mauricio Pochettino and his unique communication style. Yesterday, he had a press conference ahead of our fixture against Wolves and he said quite a bit. His body said quite a bit, and yet he left so much for us to think through, and that's exactly what I will be giving you my perspective on the things he didn't say that he would have loved to say and what exactly those get to mean for us. Let's get into it. All right, now let's get into it, shall we? Does Mauricio Pochettino speak too much without speaking? That's for a fact. I do agree, he does. But one thing that I credit him for is his ability not to wrong his owners. He's always managed how his owners look in these press conferences, how he manages fellow managers and coaches. I think he has done a great job. In whatever he says, he never kind of rubs them the wrong way and all of that. He shows a lot of respect, yet he still manages to put across his points. He is one manager that has done a tremendous job in protecting his players with the comments that he made or he makes. And I think the closest he's come to being too brutal was in that press conference yesterday, and we're going to be talking about some of those right there. Over and above, unlike other managers that we've had in the past, Antonio Conte, he didn't care if he had the owners or anyone. What he wanted is what he wanted. Jose Mourinho always protected his players until much later in his career. He always owned the losses and got to give his players a bit of credit for the wins, but he also loved to take credit for those wins as well, Jose Mourinho. But later he still became some sort of I don't care, and I think there's a popular meme about if I speak so much I will be banned and all of those kinds of things. We've had quite some interesting managers and coaches, even at Chelsea Football Club, who've done a rather drastic job, and I think Mauricio Pochettino still excels at that. There are a couple of questions that I'm going to be focusing on from the press conference yesterday, and one of those is this question that of course everyone is talking about, the question about Levi Colwill, and I'm just going to be analyzing some of that right here. Have a look. Let's start here.
How are you?
Hello.
Congratulations on the Newcastle win. The team showed a lot of personality. Alongside Modric, when you brought on natural fullback.
I want to start by, before we get to Mauricio Pochettino, the journalist. Unfortunately, I don't know which journalist this was, but well, good questioning, good line of questioning on that day. First and foremost, the journalists know what they are doing. They have not come there for information. They have come there for headlines, and you could see that's what she was going for, and you will be hearing more of that question. But prior to that, and that's something that we can learn as well as humans, if you're going to be delivering such hard opinions on people who are going to ask some tough questions and all of that, it helps if at all you get to give them a soft landing. Give them something positive before you give them something absolutely negative. She starts this one off with, oh, congratulations on this, the team spirit and all of that. We know what has been going on in the press as far as Mauricio Pochettino and the fans and the club and all of that. There seems to be a little bit of a gap in that relationship and all of that. A couple of people feeling like this team is too soft and all of that. So she gives him that credit. Of course, he's been yearning for it before she bangs him, and this is the question that she then gets to ask.
Gusto and Maatsen, it really changed the game. We know injuries have been impacting your lineups. You've been lining up with 4 centre-backs. Is there a specific reason why you're playing Levi Colwill over Ian Maatsen?
I want to pause it right here before we get to the full question, because look at that face he's giving her at that particular moment. It is the face of, you have no idea what you're talking about. It is the face of, If only you knew what I'm going through, what I'm trying to manage to be able to put aside out there to try and get results out of the resources that I do have, then you wouldn't be asking that kind of question. I'm thinking there's some expletives going on in his head towards her in that moment. That eye and just how he keeps looking at her in that particular moment. He's angry. He's angry in that particular moment. And you know, I have experienced this. I used to represent one of the biggest, actually the biggest media house in my country here, Uganda. I was the head of communications and therefore the spokesperson for that. And a couple of times you would go through meetings, sometimes for weeks or even months or maybe days to organize and do something. And because of the situation where you were, you had to take a certain decision and take that direction. But the criticism that came through on social media and a couple of people and the tone with which they asked, and that's exactly what this journalist is asking with. She's asking from a point of authority, of castigation in one way or the other. And that's what we used to receive. And you would be so mad, you would be swearing in your head, I'll tell you that. But you would still find a way of, you know, so this is what, good morning, good evening, and all of that. Sometimes you would lose it. Sometimes I lost it. But I totally understand where Mauricio Pochettino is coming from with this. And I will try and explain from my understanding of why Levi Colwill has to play there and where I faulted Mauricio Pochettino with his choice. But let's go on and listen to him.
Specific reason why you're playing Levi Colwill over Ian Matson at left back?
See that? How he breathes in heavy before he answers that. That's exactly what I'm saying. He's boiling on the inside as she answers this question, as she asks this question. He can't believe he's being asked. First and foremost, he knows what he's doing. He's a tactician. He's played this way all his career without having to play centre back and left back. And I will explain a little bit of my understanding of his tactics. But he is boiling. He is thinking, you do not know enough to even ask this question. But because he's, and this is why I keep crediting him for being the super communicator he is, he goes ahead and addresses the question this way.
You need to consider too many things. It's a good question because, yes, makes some point that it's true. But I think the consideration is about Malo Gusto that came from an injury and is not still, or wasn't at the moment so far to play, considered to play 90 minutes, that it was the decision to play with Axel on the right back. Waiting that maybe to like happen after is to put Malo and provide him to 45 minutes to help the team. It's a question a little bit like you force me to explain things that are so obvious, but of course you are right in your analysis. Congratulations. You were very good.
Noni Madueke has not had a lot of game time this season so far, but he's had a lot of injuries and setbacks and match fitness. Is that the main reason, or can you do more to have a feature of a chance on the pitch when he's on the bench?
Well, I think from the beginning of the season he was.
Mauricio Pochettino. What a man. Before we get into the Noni Madueke question, let's just go back to how he gets to deal with this. First and foremost, he's in a tight space. Not having Malo Gusto or any right back available to him. So I'll just go into what I understand of these tactics and why it was so hard for him to answer this question. Because yes, it was uncomfortable for him to answer, but I've seen that many of us that are commentating on it or talking about it are really castigating him for playing a centre back at left back. Now, the thing about Mauricio Pochettino is that over the years he has gotten to play, yes, with a back four, hardly ever a back three, at least on the formations that we get to see and all of that. So he's always been known as a 4-3-3 guy or 4-2-3-1 and all of that. However, his teams have always attacked with three people at the back, defensive people, and with one of the full-backs getting to join the two centre-backs that he plays with, making it a back three, and then the other full-back going forward and making it a middle four with the other two getting to be up top. The other three now, the three at the top, either the two wingers and the striker, or the two left attacking midfield, yes, and the right attacking midfielder joining the striker to form the front three. That's what he has always gotten to do. Now, the challenge has always been that, for example, at Spurs, what he had was a Ben Davies at left back, and I think at right back he had Kyle Walker for some time. Kyle Walker was the attacking guy, and Davis not so much. There will be moments where he gets to attack and all of that. Maybe we need a goal and all of that, and that's what happened against Newcastle, because we needed a goal and now he needed to just go all out. That's why Colwill comes out, Malo Gusto comes, what's his name, Madsen comes in, and Malo Gusto goes to the right, and now we are going all out, trying to attack and get a goal, which later paid off on the day and all of that. However, you're not going to be starting each game gang-ho. Now, first and foremost, if you're going to be having one fullback getting to go forward and one remaining behind, the one remaining behind needs to be good with on-ball situations. It needs to be good in defensive situations. It needs to be good in trying to start an attack from the back, being able to contribute to the build-up play of that particular team. Now, when you look at what we have, it is that when James has been available, he has been the guy that stays behind traditionally, and maybe that also explains why we've not seen as many goals and as many assists coming in from the right wing when James has played as before in there. So you will see that James will stay behind. You will have maybe a Disasi, and then you will have Thiago Silva get to be from the back three with Colwill. With now the more attacking fullback, who is Chilwell. Chilwell doesn't attack as well as Reece James, but then again, he doesn't defend better than Reece James. So you have to sacrifice Reece James's attacking to allow Chilwell get to succeed, in that particular kind of position. Now, with Thiago Silva being one of the centre-backs, one of our better centre-backs at the club, you can bench him, you have to play him. He doesn't have the pace to fall back as fast as he does, as he needs to be, and that means that he always needs to be covered by a certain person who's playing at left back, who is as fast as Colwill can be, but also is able to take care of the defensive support that Thiago Silva currently needs and all of that. Now, when you look at the profile of defenders that we do have currently, you do have Cucurella. When he is available, he gets to come in and get to play at the back, and then that is when we've seen James go up the wing, and that's when we've seen the likes of Malo Gusto get to come in and play, because Malo Gusto is no defensive guy. He's stronger as an attacker. So it definitely means that if Malo Gusto is going to play, you need a defensive guy on the other end of the defense. Who is that? It's always going to be either Cucurella or Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell is injured, so it will be Cucurella, but Cucurella's form has not been consistent and all of those kinds of things. So many a time you will see that the guy who's consistent, who's always available at left back, will be Colwill, who's not going to be playing the natural left back role as the attacker and all of those kinds of things, because many a time he's going to be part of a back three as we attack. So he's at the back still, able to get the ball in whenever he can, to find a midfielder, to find that ball over the top, to find a striker and all of those kinds of things. So it's a long discussion and a long explanation. With that going on, with the profile of defenders that we do have at the club currently, Madsen, he can't be playing that kind of role if you have a marauding right wing back on the other end. He's also not the strongest defensively in there. So it shows you why exactly Madsen has been playing left wing, right wing sometimes through the middle and all of those, and not as a left back in the kind of formation that Mauricio Pochettino gets to play. And that for me will explain why you will be seeing reports such as those looking for a left back. In as much as we have the numbers that we do have, the profiles do not exactly fit the picture that Chelsea need for Mauricio Pochettino to succeed. We need someone who is defensive at left back and all of that, and maybe that's when Colwill will come back to left centre back, and a Ben Davies kind of defender will get to play in that position. Maybe when Ben Chilwell returns, he will be playing in that kind of position. Now, someone will ask, but when Ben Chilwell is available, you are playing him up front and everything. Woodrick was injured, and you had Sterling. We didn't have Cole Palmer then, so we had two wingers up front, but we only had Sterling. So yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Was it a success? No, it was far from. It wasn't good and all of those. But I think when Ben Chilwell finally returns, he will be back at left back, and I think that's when we'll see more Levi Colwill through the centre. So with that background and my understanding of those tactics, you now see how Mauricio Pochettino is looking at this lady, asking this question and thinking, you do not know enough. You've not asked me to explain to you, and I've explained this before, but and it's obvious. Of course, for him in his mind, it is obvious, but if you could find out more, you could get to know. So yeah, imagine all of that communicated in just that clip right there. And of course, more was spoken of in that press conference. I would love for us to get that Noni Madueke question again and see how he gets to go about it.
Not had a lot of game time this season so far, but he's had a lot of injuries and setbacks and match fitness. Is that the main reason, or can you do more to have a feature of a chance on the pitch when he's on the bench?
I think from the beginning of the season he was involved and not involved, and he was injured and suffered some problem. I think it's always, it's what we expect from the player and then the competition. I think Noni is in a position that is a massive competition because it's too many players in that area, and I think he need to compete and he need to increase his level. I think at the moment, was injured and now he's recovering and maybe will be involved for the next games.
And the atmosphere at the Bridge against Newcastle was fantastic.
Now, I feel like, before we get into the next question, I feel like there is definitely a situation between Noni Madueke and Mauricio Pochettino. He tries to cover it up as much as possible for it not to look personal, because we've had some of that getting to come through in the press. But I don't think he's happy with how much work Noni Madueke puts in training. It is very clear for me. When he talks about the performance, how he needs to compete in training and all of that, I don't think he likes that. And I feel, and we'll be listening to that clip a little bit later, when he talks about the entourages of these players and all of those in the ears of them not being happy that they are playing and all of that. And as much as many of us are thinking it's more Nkunku and Lavia, I really think that it's mainly about Noni Madueke. And I'm going to explain why I think so. Noni Madueke has been in the papers a lot about wanting to leave or considering the future and all of those kinds of things. Those reports do not come out of nowhere, especially for a player that is not playing. Many a time, the interviews that will be in the mainstream are of someone who scored a goal, or suddenly he's having the post-match, interview, or someone who's been on the run where he's scoring goals or good clean sheets, or someone is asking for an interview of his. Noni Madueke has not been doing any of these things, and yet somehow he has all these headlines going on around him. In my opinion, also with the PR background that I do have, I think there are people within his entourage who are seeking out, attention to him and wanting to have the fans get to question the manager and all of those things getting to go on. Now, naturally, that does not make the manager happy, because he feels like, so this is the direction you're trying to take. Instead of competing on the pitch for your position and all of that, you are trying to take the press. And I think that this is more pronounced because after he explains that, let's watch this, the journalist asks another question.
And the atmosphere at the Bridge against Newcastle was fantastic, one of the best all season. You've spoken many times about the fan support and how that can push the players. What do you think that Newcastle win will do to this very young squad going into the Wolves game?
You can repeat, sorry, because I get lost.
I said it was a really good fan support.
That's my point. Because of the background I'm giving you as far as Noni Madueke and all of those getting to have his entourage in his ears, our boy is not playing his feet and all of that, and it feels like, hey, you're not exactly putting in the work. Matter of fact, I really think also the rant, the one we are talking about, where people are talking about, we also want you to play, we are paying you all this money and you're not playing and all of that, a little bit later on in that press conference. I think for me, it's more about Noni Madueke right there. And because he has answered that question and he has kept so much detail within him, I am thinking that he's so angry that he still has to talk about Noni Madueke in a press conference. So much so that when the journalist asks the next question, he's still mentally thinking about it, because the question wasn't a very complicated one. It was about the atmosphere at the club and everything, and he later answers it so smoothly and all of those kinds of things, but he's distracted. And in my mind, I think it's the Noni Madueke entourage, and he's thinking, so now we are now answering questions about you in the press conference and all of that. This man, good stuff right there. And of course, the rant.
Knowing me sometime, knowing me, but not you, people around the player complain, I want you to play, I'm disappointed, I want to do, come on. I am disappointed. The club is disappointed that is investing big, to perform and to score goals. And when you are not scoring goals, okay, we pay the salary every month. If you not play, if you are injured or when you not perform, yes, come on. Who suffer for us? For the coaches? Who suffer for the club? Who suffer? No, it's always no. Come on. This to get the right balance in all this business is so important.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Cameras off, please. Thank you.
So I think with all that had been happening in this press conference from the start, everything that he was keeping in and all of that, in this final clip that I just played for you, it is raw. He's going all out. He's only being human. Matter of fact, the guy who ends the press conference, the guy he's looking at as he's smiling right now, the PR person or the media guy and all of that, he's hoping, I just need a gap where I can just stop you and I don't look like I distracted you, because that could also be a headline, or media officer, Chelsea stops Pochettino as he runs away, and Look for that appropriate time and just say, we'll leave it at that. Cameras off, everything is done and all of that. But hey, that's only but my analysis of the situation. Let's go to the comment section. Let me know if at all you agree with me, and if there is something else you saw or something you disagree with me, let's have that chat right there in the comment section right below. Other than that, please subscribe to the channel, turn on those notification bells, and share these videos as far wide and possible as we keep the blue flag flying high.